to Clip It. Welcome back to Clip It. This episode is going to be phenomenal. I have my girl, Niki Smith here. She is a beautiful coach, financial coach. She is the bomb far as teaching us how to move forward in our industry, how to move forward professionally. And again, subscribe and ring the bell. And if you have any comments after this conversation, just put your comments below. And right now, I would like to introduce Niki Smith.
Hey. What's up, y'all? Look, this is Niki with 1K. I have to say that all the time. People still put 2Ks in my name. It's Knowledge by Niki with 1K. So I'm happy to be here. So let's get it in, girl. Let's go.
So you know what, Niki? I was actually very excited for you to come on to Clip It Real Talk. I wanted us to talk about the industry, the way it was, the way it is, and the way it's going today.
Woo! Well, you and I both have some time in this game.
Yes.
I have about 32 years going on 33, and I think you have how many? You said about 29 or 30?
Yes.
So the era of excellence, I call it, was probably like the 90s. Oh, Juanita, this business was, anybody who got a chance to experience the 90s, there's no words to describe how amazing it was. People loved coming to the hair salon. They loved saying, I got my hair professionally done. I just even remember the conversations. People would literally hang out in the shop for hair's done. They still sitting around, just enjoying each other. It was beautiful. It was pure. It was pure. That's probably the best adjective I could give it. It was pure. It was the family structure that you had with the people that you worked with. I'm glad I've lived long enough to experience. That's what I can say. I'm glad I had the opportunity, because some of the ones that have come after us, they've never seen that. They don't know what that is.
It was also real. It was awesome. It was like a family, a community. The women loved to come to the salon. They knew that they wasn't to have anything else scheduled because they had to come to the salon.
Yes.
And so let me ask you a question. I know for me, I know exactly when I knew that it shifted. Now for you, if I can ask you, when do you believe the industry shifted for African American communities, and why do you think it shifted?
It shifted around 2000. 2000 was when I started noticing the shift. And I think it shifted because of options.
Yes.
You had YouTube coming into the market. You had the internet, as wonderful as it has been to us. I mean, we wouldn't be able to do what we're doing without it.
Right.
But anytime that people now have choices, their mindsets tend to shift into doing other things, whether that meant trying to do what we do by doing their own hair, or whether that just meant that now their finances have become stretched because they can spend their money on other things without necessarily having to leave out their homes. The options that the information age gave people changed the way they wanted to come into the salon. Even as far as people who maybe worked a regular 9-to-5 are now thinking about starting their own businesses where they have, the internet afforded them the availability with learning more about opening your own business so now their time is different. It was really everything that was cyber. The cyber world, as wonderful as it is, and I wouldn't change it, but it changed everything. It changed everything. It did. And that was about 2000-ish.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with 2000-ish. Now, I have to say, for me, in Philadelphia, it was a different type of service that came into our communities that kind of priced us.
Yeah, we had that also.
I seen 3 to 4 generations run into a particular
culture of a salon. we had it too. We had it too.
So
we did have it too.
Okay, I don't want to leave that out because that, Niki, you told me the other day, I ran my business with my heart, And so I'm saying this, that it hurt my heart because it was like, hold up now, we've been doing y'all hair for 200 years now. You gonna
Right. You know what? My experience with that particular culture was people would definitely run to them, but they never stayed
okay,
because I think what we, meaning the industry, the people in every salon gave them was a sense of community. You hit the nail on the head, and a sense of belonging.
okay,
So yes, they would stray, but they didn't stay. And the methods that they use as far as how they do hair is not necessarily the best in the long run. So people will come back with hair not so healthy. It was
right,
beautiful, but
right,
they will come back with hair that wasn't as healthy as they once had it. And they may say gone a year or two, but I found that it was almost like they had to go away to realize what they missed. So it did cause a couple glitches, but if you had a very strong connection with your people and what you put out there was really, really something that they considered a diamond in the rough, they always seem to come back. We still stay full. We still stay busy. And it was even times where they would only use that other salon as fill-ins, not
right,
necessarily to go on a regular basis.
okay,
So for me, that didn't really put a dent in the particular salons I was in, from not just me, but even the other people that were in them, because they'd always come back. They
okay.
never stayed.
Well, it
Because
didn't.
we loved on them. They
Right.
didn't get that there. They didn't get that there.
Well,
It was in and out, get out of here, you know?
we know that they didn't get that because I know
Yeah,
how it was ran, and I would never let somebody call me a number and really not get to know
right.
or speak English.
But
So,
do you know why that also happened though? That for me, I used to be one of those stylists that used to have people in there like a job because I had so many people.
yes, me
And
too.
I also had to own the fact that the reason that door had been opened is because they could offer them not to be in there for 8 hours. They could offer them, you come in here on your lunch break, get your hair done, be out in an hour or two. So in actuality, for me, it made me better because I had to figure out a system because I couldn't be mad at them for not wanting to sit here with me because that's really the only reason they went. They went because it allowed them to not have their whole day at the salon. So I had to own that. And I had to say, how could I fix this? So I mean, you ain't gonna be in and out in an hour. Now that's not gonna happen. But it doesn't have to be 6 hours. It doesn't have to be
Right.
7 hours. It didn't have to be 8 hours. So I remember that made me get better
Okay.
with my time management, scheduling. So sometimes what I call market interruption, which is what that is, I feel that it's as much of a blessing as it seems like a curse at the time because it's taking your business. But sometimes there's a book called From Good to Great.
Okay.
And sometimes I forgot, actually it isn't the guy that wrote the book, but someone else, I think it was either Seth Godin or I can't remember, that said your good can actually be the enemy of your great. Sometimes when you good at something, you got it and they there, you won't get better. So sometimes some need to be injected into there to shake you up and make you get better at what you did. And that's what it did for me.
Okay.
And say, oh, I can't have these jokers up in here all day, because then if I can give them love and a good service and make it not a whole full-time job, then I got them.
Right.
I got them.
Well, that's a good.
So it made me better.
Yeah.
It did. It made me better.
I'll tell you one thing though, those was the good old days.
Oh my God, they were lovely.
People knew they had to get their lunch, and it just was fun. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that us as professionals and everything that we had to offer, our skill set, our knowledge, I know for me, and I noticed how people wasn't into the fact that we were educated and that we knew how to actually use certain products for certain customers. Like I know for Cashmere Salon, we didn't have just one product in the salon for everybody. We had tons of different products for tons of different people
right
in the door. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that we have been diminished, or disrespected in any way in regards to our education, in regards to what we offer people? And do you think that we have to make it like a standard, like whereas though we have pamphlets or some type of information in regards to what we offer, so that way we're not put in a box with everybody else?
Okay, let me go back. That's okay. Let me go back to the original statement you made as far as the products and all of us having all these things. And first of all, a lot of what has happened in this business on the negative side, we did it. It didn't just happen from the market. Let me tell you why. I've been working with product companies since 1997. I remember walking into salons that I would have to go teach in New York, and they were sending me everywhere. I started with Johnson's Product Company, so you know how long ago that was. I remember walking into salons and looking at stations and seeing the same stuff that people could buy in the beauty supply.
Yes.
So that was the first problem. I remember I'm representing a professional line. Now, this is late 90s, early 2000s. And I remember, because people weren't necessarily good money managers, and they still aren't, if I put a bottle of spritz in front of them that was professional, which is what I was teaching, but it was $6, they're like, I'm not buying that, because I can go to, I'm gonna just put it out there, to the Asian beauty supply,
Right.
and I can buy some whatever for $2.
Right.
So the devaluing is not totally on the consumer. It also is on us as professionals, sacrificing quality and commitment to companies against, I can't spend all that money. Then I know diversion. I worked for a lot of product companies back then. So I know diversion came into the industry. For those watching that don't know what that is, that's basically just where professional products that were once strictly sold to a licensed professional are now basically sold everywhere. You can get them at Walgreens, you can get them at Target, you can get them at the beauty supply. They're not exclusive anymore. I have sat in meetings, Juanita, and I'm talking young, like 23, 24 years old, with companies trying to make deals with large Asian conglomerates, and they didn't want to. But the reason they had to do this is because they got to eat too. And when the people you're loyal to are not loyal to you, and they rather buy the $2 spray than the $6, because they don't understand these ingredients alone cost $2, then eventually it makes companies who got bills to pay, just like everybody else, be forced to make certain decisions. And so the education that now starts to happen is more than just knowing how to apply a relaxer, knowing how to cut the hair correctly. It's about also understanding the social dynamics of it, as far as who to buy from, what to buy, how to buy, being exclusive. And it didn't happen with everyone, but it happened with a large enough percentage of people that those who already didn't value us saw people who were supposed to be professional also not valuing what they did. So it became a thing where people started feeling okay. I remember back then, I had salons owners on both sides of me as a kid, live. One on one side that was they were about 20 years apart. So one now is in her late 60s, and the other one now is in her late 80s.
Okay.
So I had these, and me, I'm a kid. So it's these generations of both salon owners that grew up all my life on both sides of me. And I watched how they did their business differently. The one that was older, she'd let you bring your own relaxer in. You can go to the store and get it, and she would put it on you.
Right.
But the one that was younger was like, absolutely not.
Right.
So you have this different generation of people that did things differently. And we still had a lot of us as young black hairstylists and workers. It was kind of this, I saw both sides. I saw the hustling stylists, because I lived in the hood. And then I went with companies, and then they introduced me to this whole other world where everybody's professional and they all wear black when they come to work. And so I saw these both dynamics.
Okay.
And I saw how both of them had this culture. And even though the hood salon was fun now, you had fun in there, but it also changed how professional people saw the black experience. They saw it as fun. You could kick it. Look, we know you got people coming in there selling stuff. It was the hood experience. But then you had this other side where they serve wine and cheese. See, I had the best of both worlds. Right. They serve wine and cheese, and you had to come in, and it was appointment only, and you had to sit down, and wasn't no walk-ins, and you couldn't eat in certain areas. And so I saw the dynamics of both growing older.
Right.
And it was absolutely amazing. And then I know this video cannot be extremely long, but I have to tell you this story. I was 24 years old, and it changed everything for me. I worked for Johnson's, and then I went into a company called Carson's Beauty. They bought Johnson's, and then they wanted to sell. They were making a, like, say, $60 million deal. They ran into this situation where the people that were professional would not commit to their products, so their numbers were down. So they had to make the decision. They were going to, I think, take certain parts of the line, make it consumer-based, and then the other parts they were going to keep professional. I had to sit in on this meeting. If you don't know who Mr. Jenny is, he's still here today. Mr. Jenny is the largest Asian conglomerate that exists in the world. Mr. Jenny can spend $10 million like you and I spend $1, okay? So I had to be part of this sale. And it was something at 24 years old that I will never forget. So imagine a room with about 10,000 people in it, and I'm not exaggerating. So there are tables. All these tables are beauty supplies, Korean beauty supplies represented. This is when I understood the hierarchy. The Chinese are the ones with the money. The Koreans, they finance. The Koreans buy their products from the Chinese. The Chinese have all these warehouses all over this country. They have a huge one in China. Then they have smaller ones here, like distribution companies, people that work them, and they sell directly to the Koreans. So I watched this panel of about maybe 15 guys. They don't speak English. These are the money guys, or maybe 10, because it was actually Johnson's on the other side.
Okay.
I watched 10 of them on this side, don't speak English, and I watched Johnson's people on this side. They're making this deal. We're only there because they don't speak no English, and we have to tell them how the products they're talking about buying work. That was my only function there. But I got a chance to see how this went. They had all these different people standing up at podiums that had sections. So let's call them regional people. Mm-hmm. They spoke English. They had maybe 250 salons represented just in their area. Because there was more than one salon, more than one beauty supply at a table. So their job was, it was a man here, man there, standing up, one for Johnson's, one for Mr. Jenny. They were sitting in the order of their financial contribution. This one put in 10 mil, this one put in 5, 4, 3. It was, I'll never forget it. And I'll be 51. I will never forget this experience. So they would whisper, say whatever. Then the guy on the podium who spoke English and Chinese would say whatever he had to say to the Johnson's people. Then the Johnson person, or the Carson's person, then they would talk. Then he would holler out to all of these people standing. And he would say whatever. Then those people would talk to their section. This went on for 4 days. And I'm watching this. And I watched those people as they got through write like a $64 million check. Because I guess back then they didn't do wire transfers. They just wrote checks, right? So I'm watching this. And at 24 years old, I'm watching this corporate bargaining before my very eyes. I'm watching 10 men. Everybody ain't got 10 mil, but I got 10. You got 5. You got 3. You got 2, you got 1. What they do is they buy the entire company. They buy, and because they buy it all, basically what they pay for the product is equivalent to a dime. So then the beauty supplies, now they put it in their warehouses all over the world. The beauty supplies now set up contracts with the warehouses. They buy directly from them. Now, if I bought it for 10 cents, I can sell it to you for 30 cents. You sell it for $1, you still made a killer profit because you bought it. Their cooperative bargaining affords them the ability to do this. But if I'm the black salon owner and all I got is $1,000, I got to pay $10 just to buy it because I can't buy 10,000 of them. I can't buy 20,000 of them, and then I got to try to sell it for 20.
Right.
So who you think gonna win in that scenario? And I watched this, Juanita, for 4 days, and that stuck with me. And I said, this is the reason that Asian people are able to do what they do. The way they operate, Juanita, because I have Asian friends, like real friends. You know when they invite you to their house, you their real friend. I was just on the phone with one of them this morning. That's my real friend. Okay. And he talks to me about how this goes, and he's Chinese, and they've been in business forever. And he said, this is generational.
Yes, it is.
The way we operate, we are taught from babies to own your own stuff. From babies. We taught that our money has to go through our culture 15 times before it goes out. So I'm saying all that to say that a lot of what has been broken in our industry is because we never learned it any other way. We don't know. So when things change, when the cyber world came in, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to shift. We only learned one way to do it. We only learned to be on the bottom and grind. We don't know anything else. We didn't learn about this, and there was no one there willing to teach us, and some of us weren't willing to learn. So we weren't able to segue into kind of where the world is now. And so some of us, unfortunately, turned into dinosaurs. And we didn't. And we lost everything we ever worked for. We got to change, Juanita. We got to be willing to change. We got to.
So.
And the information age made us have to change quicker. We sometimes Corona made us have to change on a dime. You ain't even had time to think about it. But it's not just Corona that makes us there are times when we need to change.
Yes. So the Corona was definitely a blessing in disguise, and it's also getting back to business as usual. It's going to be hard for some people. Let me ask you one last question in regards to what's happening in this country right now in our industry. How do you feel about, you already expressed the fact you haven't really been segregated against, but have you been segregated against at any time?
Oh, absolutely. I have taught all over this country. I have earned everything that I have. I didn't get in on who I knew. Everything I have been afforded and blessed to do, I got in on my merit. So if you see me anywhere, it ain't who I knew, it ain't none of that. I remember sitting down with other producers of other shows that were not typically catered to blacks. And I remember sitting down with criteria, look, this is what I've done, sending them when videos start getting popular, you can record yourself, sending them videos of what I would do, learning about their companies, learning about what they didn't have, because I all wanted to show how I can fill in the blanks. Like, okay, you've never had this, so this is what I can offer you. Just show how I can be an asset. I remember hearing things from a company like, but why do we need you? And then I'm like, well, why don't you need me? Because I'm noticing that you're putting out more marketing information to draw people to buy from you that look like me, but you don't want to put anyone in front of them that actually looks like them. I remember a producer telling me, they don't want to buy from you. They'd rather buy from us. I said, you really believe that? And this was a guy. He said, absolutely. They'd buy from us. Then I challenged it. Then this is what he told me, to really, he knew I was the type of girl that wasn't going to alter. Then he told me this. He said, okay, now this was as current as 7-8 years ago.
Okay.
He said, this is what I'll do. I'm looking at all of your information, your class descriptions, your this, your that. If you change these to be a little more, what was the word he chose? Acceptable to all. And I said, we're not going to sugarcoat it. You mean more white. Because ain't no need of us tap dancing around it. He said, if you want to call it that, sure. I said, why do I need to do that? He said, well, we have a lot of other nationalities that come to this show, and they would possibly want to sit into this class, but they might think it's not for them. I said, you know how many shows I've done where I got more white people that sit in there than black people? I said, white people want to learn what we do.
Yeah.
They want to learn relaxers. They want to learn because you all are always trying to, when you realize there's money to be, and I went there, when you realize there's money to be made, even in makeup, I started going into makeup. You didn't make shades dark enough. When you realize there was money to be made in it, now all of a sudden you get mascara or get foundation that's almost black, okay? I said, but it was a time you didn't have that. I said, the only times I said, okay, you're asking me to change my stuff. Did you ask anybody white to change theirs to make it where it's more so black people could go in it? He was starting to get perturbed with me. And he said, no, I didn't. I said, then I tell you what, I'm not changing it. You know what he said? Then I can't have you part of the show. I said, thank you very much. I'm good.
Wow.
I'm not changing it. I'm not changing it. Why? He even told me my pictures or my information should be more multicultural. Well, they not. I represent black people and I ain't got no problem with it. Do you tell everybody I've been to this show? I see banners out here with number white faces on it, and I have not seen, you ain't asked them to put a black face on their banner.
Wow.
So I'm not changing it. So I get it. I understand, fully understand.
Right.
That was the last of that. That was like 7, 8 years ago. I'm not doing it. Do you then? I'm one of them radical black girls. I'm like, fine. I'm fine with the fact that I can still make it and do well representing me. I even went here with him. There was a time you and I lived through hip hop. You and I lived through the era where Run DMC, LL Cool J, wasn't nobody thinking about them. Now you got hip hop in an Office Max commercial. Mm-hmm. Those guys, whether they were right, wrong with what they said, how they put it out there, they stood for what they believed in. They didn't water it down. That was their experience. It was the black experience. They told it the way they learned it. And eventually what happened? Now everybody wants them and they don't want them to change. I'm that black girl. If you want me, you're going to have to take me like I am. Because there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing. I can educate anybody, white, black, or otherwise. And yes, I'm the little hood black girl. That's the little radical black girl. But I can run with any of them. I can talk to you in a way that you understand it, no matter what your intellectual level is. Now I'm not saying I don't need to grow, but I don't need to change to suit this platform. What I have is fine. And that's what I'm rolling with. It's more than enough.
Enough.
I'm good with that.
That's something.
Now, if you want me to just add to it to make it greater in terms of maybe the content, that's fine. I'm always willing to do that. But if you want me to change to be more acceptable to another race, I'm not going to be able to help you with that because I'm fine. I'm fine helping the least of these. I'm fine with that. So that's just my stance, and it has been for a long time, and it served me well. It really has. I'm fine with that.
Awesome. So, in other words, we just have to really adapt to what's going on.
Yeah.
What it is. It just roared its ugly head, and now we just have to deal with it with the integrity and the strength that our ancestors dealt with it with.
That's it.
Because it's not going nowhere. And
once
we accept that, then we're good. Once we accept who we are, and see, that's what Niki does, y'all. She trains us. She trains people to get in touch with themselves, get in touch with who they are. And that way we can walk in confidence and believe in all things, no matter what the color is.
And only, I just want to say this, my last point. We talked about this briefly. My goal is for every black entrepreneur out there, beauty business and otherwise, to understand your power, to understand that the only thing that changed our ancestors' life, and if you really read up on slavery and the things that happened, it was when blacks started opening businesses. It was when they started to say, I want to be in a position to make decisions. It was when they took leadership roles that they were able to change things. But you have to lead the right way. You have to lead with integrity. You have to continually learn. There's no power in people at the bottom screaming. Right. It's the people with the influence that are in positions of leadership and power and finances. Those are the people that influence. It's the reason why I've targeted the people who run the salons, or the people who run the schools, or the people who have the better finance. They ain't necessarily rich, but they have more financial resources than the people under them. It's the reason why it's important to me for them to get their money right. So you can now be the example for others. If we can keep becoming better at being great leaders, I believe our voices will be heard, because it will matter if we say, I ain't doing that. Right. If everybody in positions of power, resources says, you know what, I'm not going to go, trust me, right, it will make the difference in the people who are now using your skill set to build their own wealth. It'll matter. Mm-hmm. But you got to get your stuff. We got to quit being raggedy. Mm-hmm. If we keep being raggedy, it's not going to help. Mm-hmm. So this is what I do. I come in with existing businesses that are failing, that don't understand their power, don't understand their options, whether it be whatever it needs, branding, marketing, social media, it doesn't matter. Don't know how to either fix or build their business. I come in and restructure that, right, so you can succeed. If your money ain't right, which is 99% of the cases, I give you money education so you can start building financial resources, because the bottom line, you can't move without money.
Because money
you can't move without money. Money does matter. That's my program, y'all. Y'all see that? Money does. Look, let me. Which way I need to go? Let me come over here. Money does matter.
It does.
Period. And I'm gonna drop the mic on that one. That's all I got to say.
And so, to my viewers, I would like to thank you guys for tuning in to Clip the Real Talk, man. Nikki, you definitely have to come back. I will have all her information at the bottom. If you have any comments, just leave it in the caption underneath. Please make sure you subscribe, spread the good news, and ring the bell. And again, we like to thank Coach Niki Smith for coming on to Clip It with all of her knowledge and her wisdom.
Yes, and thank you very much for having me. I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you so much.
All righty, bye.